Hey y'all. So today we are actually very directly going to be talking about dating. If that wasn't obvious from the title, I'm gonna just jump right in. So the focus of today is online dating, but okay, kind of sort of not really, but Tinder. Okay. Let me just. So admittedly, I stayed away from Tinder for years. Anytime I got the itch to be on a dating app because of the way it was like slandered um in the lore of online dating. But summer 2023 was a wild time and I fully committed to trying anything once. In conclusion, like to sum it all up, like I got the best results from using Tinder than any other platform I'd used in the past. I know. Let me explain. Welcome back to season 2 of the podcast. Different name, same concept. I've got things to say about everything. This season, we're doubling down on the mental health content, continuing to ponder the randomness of life, and trying to keep some laughs sprinkled in between. You can keep up with me on Instagram and threads at Pat Pontificates and subscribe to the weekly newsletter at patpontificates.com. All links are provided in the show notes. I'm your host, Patrice, preaching authenticity, wellness, and freedom to the masses. Let's disrupt. So here's why I feel like I had a decent time on Tinder versus like, my lord, plenty of fish. I had tried the new and improved version that I don't know when they did it, but I had tried the new and improved version and it was a lot going on, but nothing really changed about the people who were on the platform. The platforms do bring a certain type of person to them. They do, but it's not the person as much as it is the energy, because you will find all types of the same type of people on the apps, but it's how they act in the apps that changes. Because I've had a situation where I'm like, I've seen this profile before on Hinge. Here you are on Twitter. Tinder, why am I doing that anyway? Plenty of fish, yuck. Coffee meets bagel was okay. um Hinge is the pits. The pits. I think I'm going to explain it at some point, but it is the pits. It's just not good. So on Tinder, one, I felt like I was talking to real people. Like real people, normal people. And normal just means like not robots who are I'm dating to be married. Cause whoa, that crew of people really can take the energy out of a conversation. Even the most harmless social situations can be just immediately plummeted by what's your 5-year plan, dating to be married type person. And that's why I think Hinge is the cesspool that it is, because it is supposed to be known as the marriage app, and marriage makes the people just glitch. The idea of marriage, wanting marriage, uh, just glitch. I felt like on Twitter, people Tinder. How many times am I gonna do that? Tell me when this is over. How many times did I do this in this episode? People on Tinder were slightly more straightforward about what they wanted, and it showed in how they communicated, right? Because it's always like people like always like Tinder is the hookup app. It's the hookup app, and this is why people like, oh, they hate hookup culture. Someone like me, I like the straightforwardness of it all. I like the straightforwardness of it all. And that's again why I did not like Hinge so much performance, peak performance, because I want to give the appearance that I want a relationship just so I can get a crumb of your attention and the outcome that I want, even though it's not the same like yours. It doesn't align with yours. I'm not going to go into the nuances of who does that versus who is the one getting caught with that. That's not what this episode is about. But read between the lines, right? People were more straightforward. It showed them how they communicated. I didn't have to swipe right on the person whose profile was like they was just in town for a few days wanting to link up, if that's not what I was into. And if that's what I was going for, I could simply cut to the chase when we matched. Now, I'm not saying that like the things that are on other apps are not on Tinder, like the foolery, the tomfoolery, which I will get to. But I'm saying the idea that the advertisement is pretty close to the product, I felt like there was more congruency on Tinder. I'll also say that Tinder had some of the best diversity. I live in New York, and I feel like some of the other apps really lay it on. This is the first time I also did online dating and had my thing set to everybody as opposed to black love. And when I've done that before on Hinge, I feel like they sent me every white man they could find that has a doppelganger in a serial killer documentary. Like it was, and I mean, some of them would be real fine, but you were giving like Joe from You. Like it wasn't working. It just wasn't. It wasn't. You know what I mean? Whereas Tinder, I felt like it was like, oh yeah, this is somebody I can see in the neighborhood. Like even the pictures were better. The pictures people chose were better on Tinder because there was. I think it was again. I'm assuming this lack of pressure of presenting the best self to be picked for marriage. By no means is this an advertisement for Tinder, but I think I was just shocked that it was pretty normal. Like it felt like it just reminded me the most of the real world. A bit complicated, kind of colorful, weird things hiding around the corner every now and again. And for that reason, it made sense until until the algorithm started doing that thing it does to make you spend exorbitant amounts of money. And here's my insert: that capitalism ruins everything. Everything. It's the features and the algorithms of the apps, both exclusively, separately, and together, that start to make things extremely weird. It might not be that serious if like the dollar amounts were not so like ridiculously high. Tinder Gold was like $19 for a week. Is that the price? I I have since deleted Tinder, which is not really a good doesn't show that like I enjoyed it, but I have my thresholds. I have my time periods where I can do the apps, and I just yeah, but yeah. And then Tinder's perks for the tiers are somewhat nonsensical. I think like Tinder Gold, the first one that you can pay for is like little to no benefit. The Tinder Gold is like the best bang for your buck, but it was still missing some key things you really needed to like get the most out of the app with like a premium experience. And then Tinder Platinum had like way too much going on. Like secret agent spy, matchmaker, I will find someone by the end of the week for a price tag that was like absolutely not. There needed to be something in between gold and platinum, but that was not the goal, right? The goal was to get you to buy platinum. And once you start paying that kind of money for swipes and access, you're better off meeting new potentials by just buying them random people drinks at the bar. Truly. I think the worst feature, absolute worst feature on Tinder, I've had a conversation with a friend about this, has to be the secret admirer announcement that they throw in there every now and again. At this point, I'm not convinced Tinder doesn't just make up those people like extremely the hell up, because many of them didn't make sense to me. I particularly remember this one dude standing on a boat, may or may not have been holding a fish. You see where I'm going with this? Sperry's looking situation. Young man looked like he camps out outside of the Republican National Convention just to get a good look at his idols. Profile very specifically said, you know who 2024, and requested that liberals swipe left. Like, not like very plainly, like, I have no interest in you. And that was my secret admirer. Feminism was specifically on my profile to scare people like him away. I mean, unless he chose to secretly admire me so he could slide me into a white van. Very, very confused. So in the conversation about like the terrible features, the algorithms, and how it all goes to poop after you get over the initial excitement about being on these apps and people swiping and matching. It's not even just about like the matches per se, although of course it is, but it's like the availability of people starts to be like, did you just find like are you purposely finding people that I have absolutely nothing in common with, who will also refuse to respond to me? Like it's hmm. Anyway, so an article came out earlier this year on Valentine's Day, clearly a coincidence that was on purpose. Um and I'm going to go over what it says on from NPR. I don't know who's the first to break the story, but it says maker of Tinder and Hinge sued over addictive, in quotes, dating apps that put profits over love. Ooh, child. So Tinder, Hinge, and The League. That's another one. The League came out. Let me pause real quick. The League came out on ABS with that waiting list. And if y'all remember that, and you had to do all the things to get on, because they was trying to control the ratio of whom to whom, but it don't matter how you control a ratio. Like if men want to act up, they're gonna act up. Like it is what it is. Um and I remember I had just forgot about it. And I think like a couple years later, I randomly get a email to the email address that I had used to try to snoop onto it. They're like, "Oh, you're in. Get out my face." Get out my face. But the while you were on the wait list, they would send you all these things about all the goodness that was waiting for you behind the closed doors and all the quality. This was years ago. Like I had forgotten about it. It wasn't that long ago, but it was just like, I guess nobody's on your funky little app no more. Now you want to. I had deleted the app. I thought I deleted my account. So I think maybe what they or my request. So maybe they just still had my email address and decided to email me. Anyway, the popular dating apps hook users with the promise of seemingly endless romantic matches, blah, 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 in order to push people to pay money to continue their compulsive behavior. Okay, that's a little harsh, but okay. According to a federal, they got this to the feds, but also, anyway, lawsuit filed in San Francisco. The suit was brought by plaintiffs in states including New York, California, and Florida. And if you've ever been on apps in those states, well, I'm not mad at this. It argues that the dating app parent company Match Group gamifies the services to transform users into gamblers locked in a search for psychological rewards that Match makes elusive on purpose. Sounds very good. And I think that's a very good capture of all the things here. While Hinge's advertising slogan boasted it is designed to be deleted, the lawsuit claims that the apps basically turn people into addicts who do not find true love, instead keep purchasing subscriptions. I didn't realize people were paying, like, how many men, I will say, because it's men who were first telling me this. And you would see it on profiles. Like people would say like, "Oh, this app is in your profile. The app is trash. It's not worth the money." Some of them would say that before saying, "Hit me on Instagram instead." Just an advertisement sitting on an app for $40 a month. But bless your heart, I don't even think it's that low, honestly, because again, Tinder is asking you for money by the week. But anyway, now it's gonna go into some jargon about violating consumer protection, but I don't care about all that. I mean, I do, but that's not what I'm focusing on. For example, users can, and everything ends in 99. Users on Hinge can spend $3.99 to send a rose to a standout profile. I remember the first time I swiped on somebody, I think it was Coffee Miss Bagel first. And I pressed like, and it was like, "Oh, well, this person right here, he popular. So if you want him to like notice you, you should send him a whatever their enhanced thing was." And I was like, "Oh, actually, well," I said, "No, I'm not doing that. But let me take the whole like back. You don't need mine." And I couldn't take it back. I was irritated. And I was like, "Since when do they do that? Like, tell you that, oh, this one popping right here. So if you want if you want to talk to my man, you're going to have to go a little harder." Like, I was appalled. Like, get this out of here. What? Please. Um Of course, Match.com making statements that they're just empty because they have to, or the Match Group. Um, Now, here, this is interesting. The question the lawsuit poses is: does Match Group have to disclose the potentially addictive quality of such commonplace design features, and have the company's lack of warnings constituted a violation of consumer protection laws? They got their work cut out for them there. I'm not gonna lie. However, comma, I do think that if you can prove that they, one, send me fake secret admirers who want to throw me into white vans, and that then will make me desperate enough to keep getting on the app trying to find someone who isn't so weirdly unaligned with me, then you have a point, right? Because the choices weren't that off in the beginning when I started, and everybody says the same thing. In the beginning, the things make sense, and then if you spend a little bit of time on the app, now all of a sudden nobody makes any sense at all. And people are like, when I deleted my account and created a whole new profile, then the matches or the even just the likes or the people available started to make sense again. And hello, that's a problem. So that's the core of the article. You can look it up. It's a bunch of people have covered it now since then. And here's where I'm going with this. Uh, Make dating fun again. Unfortunately, the obsession with relationships and marriage and the relentless barrage of self-proclaimed marriage gurus on microphones has truly sent us into a collective tizzy. And the boogeyman in the algorithms gets paid off for all of that. Make dating fun again. The message will truly never hit for the dating for marriage brigade. So sorry, I have nothing for you here. But similar to the conversation about friendships, we should really get back to enjoying people's company again. And if we don't enjoy them, just reclaim our time. I'm gonna go real quick to something. I didn't even watch the season. I caught most of it from TikTok and TikTok reviews and stuff like that. But Netflix, first of all, there's so much performance and preying on people's insecurities that's going on in the dating world, especially when you introduce capitalism and being able to make money off of it. The pods is supposed to be like, the whole premise is that you enjoy this person so much that you want to blindly enter into bliss with them outside of the pods. But this last season was diabolical. Diabolical. Lauren and Cameron is the only, the only thing that's saving us. But a lot of the relationships that went to crap outside of the pods were crappy inside of the pods. Enjoy people's company again. I don't know. Do we not know what it means to enjoy people anymore? It doesn't mean you sit there while somebody is taking shots at you, negging, and I guess another a nice little pop type term for you. And like you're like not sure about how something feels, and you're just, you're constantly anxious or whatever. No, like enjoying. A lot of those people, from the time not even because you knew what they were talking about with other people, but even when you did know, because they were going back to sleep in houses with the other girls that was talking to people and certain things that make sense. The other guys was like, hold on, but I told. Mm, if it's not fun now, starting off, what do you think will happen later? I don't know. So reclaim your time if it's not fun. But I don't know, like, why people. Well, I there's so many reasons. Why do people go out of their way to engage people they don't like? And when I say go out of their way, it's, this coffee date this is why the coffee date conversation does not hit for me, that y'all are trying to have. At first it was like, a lot of times, like, again, for the heteros here, the men were like, oh, I'm taking them to coffee dates, and then it was like, and women were like, oh, please, da, da, da. And then all of a sudden now women are like, oh yeah, but that's better for me. It's like the men were able to like recruit het women over to their side and accepting less. And yes, I am referring to a coffee date as accepting less. Argue with your mammy. Because It's not because a coffee date is less inherently, but it's because the reason why they're trying to take you is because they don't want to have to put effort in case you suck. Why is dating that unfun for you? I was having way better dates when I was like broke and like 21 with men who were also kind of broke. And we wasn't going to Nobu. You know what I'm saying? If people talked on the phone, or again, don't want to sound like a boomer, but if people talked on the phone or exchanged messages like back in the day, be or sat in the pods with people before they went out on dates, you might not have to wait until you're sitting across from a stranger and some stale scones to see if there's someone worth talking to because you just want to collect random dates like Pokemon. So I just think for all intents and purposes, I understand there's a lot that goes into it, but you're not having fun and it shows. And the overemphasis that you have to put on being able to just weed through everything that's out there to see which one might align and who has the key for my lock and blah 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 is why the match group is able to essentially exploit your desperation and other people's manipulation and insert all the pieces of the porridge. It's not even like a porridge. It's like if you took Cookie Crisp and mixed it with Lucky Charms and corn pop type of thing and make it into this like swamp that is their apps, because they know that and what helps them is the messaging that is out there. The whole idea of like, it has to be now, it has to be this way, it has to be good, you have to be good, because if you don't do it, he just don't like you. And all of these things. I have never been on so many interviews as when I dealt with the tech people. It can't be that serious, y'all. I mean, of course, there's another conversation that I'm not going to have here about how unenjoyable and loveless marriages can be and tend to be and are advertised to be and are normalized to be, because it's just something that you do for some other end result. Marriage is, I don't know if y'all be understanding, marriage is so beneficial for heterosexual men that their life expectancy like lengthens as a result of being married. As if you are someone who wants to marry a man, you really need to think about that. And you are not one. You really need to think about that. Especially if you bear children and you want to. You can and you want to. To the opposite, for women, your life expectancy, I think it decreases, or quality of life, one of the two. Research has been done. There are studies, girl. So this idea that you just do something that sucks because you should, and it's something that you do, and y'all are getting married at like 24, 25. So you lived 25 years of maybe a good life, but then like 18, 17 of those years you didn't have any like autonomy over your life. So for 6 years you were an adult. Wow, is that the math? 8 years you were an adult. Kind of, sort of figuring things out. Boom, now you're married with kids. And the rest of your life is gonna suck till death do you part, because you just, you sit in the pods and you have a bad time in the pods, and you leave the pods and you have a bad time outside of the pods, then you get married. And that sucks too. And then the kids come and that sucks. And the rest of your life just sucks. Make dating fun again. That's all I'm saying. If you make it fun again, now how much can they exploit you? Maybe you get on that app, but you never spend no money. Maybe you take pauses from the app. Maybe you close it every now and again. You delete it. Maybe you do go outside sometimes and try to be somebody outside. Maybe you don't think every time you meet somebody, this person can be the one. Maybe you don't come with your laundry list of questions because you do just find out what their freaking favorite color is. Because at its best, it's a blast. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Disrupting Silence podcast. In the show notes, you'll find a link to join the weekly insider newsletter community for like minded disruptors, people pondering their purpose, and recovering perfectionists. You can also follow me on Instagram and Threads at Pat Pontificates. Links are also in the show notes. If you have a listener question or just want to connect with me directly about something, send me an email at hello@patpontificates.com. Until next time.